So my Saturday superlatives continue. Quarterbacks, and there's a lot of them. So because I was playing catch up, some of these guys will be guys from performances a couple of weeks ago. But it took me a while to finally track down Ren Hepley's ludicrous performance, where he had went 38 of 50 for 10 touchdowns and 538 yards passing. Now, admittedly, there was a lot of catch and run in there, but he was very accurate and he made a lot of really good decisions. But there's some very poor tackling that led to some of those crazy numbers. And the other thing that's crazy about it is the guy that came in for him came in and I think scored passed for two more touchdowns. Max Johnson at LSU. Now, obviously, Brad Johnson's son, big lefty with a really nice arm. Though LSU didn't look great, he actually had a pretty good game. And I think LSU will at some point right the ship and look better as a whole. But Max Johnson is not the problem. 26 of 46, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Needs to get better at seeing pressure and handling pressure. He definitely isn't great at that part of the game, but he's, like I said, has a really great natural passing motion, really throws a beautiful spiral, and he's naturally accurate. Hunter Rodriguez of UC Davis, right? The quarterback factory of UC Davis. And they've actually had a few good quarterbacks out of there, including Chris Peterson. And the quarterback that preceded Chris Peterson, the quarterbacks that followed Chris Peterson, both were guys that got drafted in the NFL at UC Davis. But back to this kid. So Hunter Rodriguez really looked good against Tulsa. And that's a pretty good defense, even though they lost a couple of their top defensive backs to not grad transfers. Well, some of them were just normal transfers, but transfers. He still looked good against Tulsa. 28 of 35, 311 yards, and a touchdown. And I think, the arrows pointed up on him, despite the fact he's an older player with a wicked, like Old West mustache. One of my favorite, quote-unquote, smaller school quarterbacks is Eric Berria from East Washington. And he just goes out and just drops video game numbers with such regularity. But in the game I last saw, he's 29 of 39 for 374 yards, 3 touchdowns, a couple of interceptions, 9 rushes for 32 yards. He's not afraid of trying to push the ball into places where it's not easy to get the ball. And sometimes, one of those is just kind of a misread, and the receiver didn't do him any favors either. But still, he had a pretty good game. Dorian Thompson Robinson, once again, the LSU game, 9 of 16, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's grown so much, right? He started when he was really a kid, and he was in high school. We talked about, guys who like Kyle Trask or, a situation where he was a backup, right, in high school, and now he's greatly surpassed the guy that he backed up in high school. But he had a really good game. Michael Pratt, deservedly so, has gotten a lot of praise for the Oklahoma game. He went 27 to 44, showed real toughness. 296 yards, 3 touchdowns, 15 carries for 34 yards, a touchdown. He's a guy with good mobility, a good arm, and like I said, just really showed toughness. They knocked him around pretty good, and he just hung in there. One of my favorites, in fact, my current favorite in this quarterback class is Carson Strong. 22 of 39, 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And the interception was on a great play by the safety. He took a little bit of a chance trying to beat that whole shot in cover 2, and the safety saw it coming and got over there. Jack Cohn, a name I never thought I'd be saying here, but 25 of 34, efficient, 367 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. I do think the wheels will start to come off the wagon at some point for him, but he looked good. Shidair Sanders, yes, the son of Dion. 30 of 40, 360 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not a great game. A good game, a really good game. But he still has some meat on the bone, in my opinion. But he's a kid. He's 18 and a half, I think, and he's just going to keep getting better. Keep plowing forward. Phil Jerkovic at Boston College. Big kid, strong arm, 16 of 24, 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I really like his receiving group around him as well. Another one of my favorites is Akil Glass, right, Alabama A&M, 28 of 49, 426 yards, 5 touchdowns. I still would like to see him get a little bit better in some of the fine points around ball placement and decision making, but he shows me that he's got really good stuff to work with, and I think, once again, he's a very experienced player, but I think there's still some room for improvement. Bryce Young, everyone's been talking about him since, obviously when he first was headed to USC, and then since he became the first, one of the more exciting quarterback prospects at Finesway, Alabama. He's a kid who's had great arm, but also really mobile. 27 of 38, 344 yards, 4 touchdowns, and at times the game looks very easy to him. OU transfer, Oklahoma transfer, now at SMU, Tanner Mordecai, looked really good. 24 of 30, 317 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's right, 7, which would be really impressive if not for Ren Hepley. A guy that I liked last year when he was just a kid, a redshirt freshman, now he's a redshirt sophomore, is Cornelius Brown the fourth at Georgia State. For those who liked Brandon Bridge from South Alabama, he's that, but I think a little bit better. I think he's a little more naturally accurate. He had 241 yards passing on 20 of 32. He also had 3 touchdowns passing, 1 touchdown rushing on 30 yards of rushing. Another one of my favorites, and yes, you've heard me talk about Desmond Ritter for some time, but I just think once again, he's finally really finding it. 20 of 25, 295 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 interception, 6 carries, 31 yards. I mean, he's not quite Kaepernick. He's not quite that level of athlete. Like I said, I called him at one point Kaepernick at 33 and a third. He's a slower version. Probably a guy's going to come in at 4.71, 4.68, somewhere like that. But has some of the other things that we looked at in Kaepernick. A little bit of a hitch in his mechanics, but good natural accuracy, strong arm. Talked about Michael Pratt, deservedly so. I want to mention Richmond's Joe Mancuso, a guy I really liked. But I liked him more now. Like, as much as I liked him before, he's grown on me even more. 25 of 34, 293 yards, 2 touchdowns, 347 total yards, 3 touchdowns. He can move. He's a mobile guy. He's got toughness. He plays in an offense that doesn't give him a lot of gimme or really easy throws. They don't throw a lot of screens or a lot of those sort of easy gimme passes. Those are the quarterbacks.